look, I think there's a few lessons that we can take away from that. One, and I do just think this is really important for libertarians to recognize, because I think in many ways this should be the final nail in the coffin of woke libertarianism. Woke libertarianism is dead, and it is just, however, first of all, it's stupid and it's not consistent with our theory. But on top of that, simply, even if you disagree with me on that, and you're wrong, but even if you disagree with me on that, there's just simply no market for it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to no dissident of the regime wants to embrace the artificial culture imposed on us by the regime. It's a death blow. And, there's a real problem here's the essence of the problem with woke libertarians, as far as I see it. If you look at Chase Oliver, during COVID, he would have been talking about how he's being responsible and wearing the mask and how he got vaccinated and how he did, just all of that. Now, he's not saying that today. In his 2024 campaign, he's not going over there and telling anyone, hey, when that pandemic hit, I made sure I was always wearing a mask at Thanksgiving. And when I had people over for Thanksgiving, we all wore masks and we socially distanced. We did the right thing during the pandemic. We were responsible. He's not saying, hey, man, I talked to my doctor and I took the vaccine because I trusted his advice. He's not saying that now, right? He was saying that at the time. Now, I heard on one of the debates that I saw, he said he was tricked into taking the vaccine because the government lied to him or whatever. If you go back and you look at what Chase Oliver was saying in 2017 or 2018, when he was shrieking the woke stuff at its loudest, calling Ron Paul or racist or calling the RLNC racist or something like that or whatever. He's not saying that now. He's not saying any of that now. Why is that? Because it's all been revealed as being stupid. But the problem with being a woke libertarian or woke at all is that you can be counted on to consistently fall for the propaganda every single time. And then you never even admit it. You won't say it now, but you won't admit that you were wrong then. And guess what? You'll fall for the next one every single time. I mean, I saw the other day, one of his posts was he was calling out Nick Fuentes for saying your body, my choice after the election. And he was talking about how, repugnant that is. But it's all this moral preaching, but it's really just really, that's what you have to say right now, as the world has drastically changed in a way that is has enormous possibilities that would have been unthinkable just recently. That's your comment on the state of things? Is that the guy who says things so people like you get offended, you're offended? It's just you can always be counted on to fall for it, to fall for the bullshit every single time. And that does not inspire support. And the worst part about it is that I'd see all these libertarians, the ones who were supporting him, I shouldn't say all, not that there's that many, but the ones who were supporting him would constantly be talking about what a great messenger he is. He's such a great messenger. And you're is he? What are you talking about? What you would think if somebody's a great messenger, their message would resonate with someone. With someone. But we don't see any of that. And I also got to say this, and this doesn't apply to everybody, but there are, at least in my experience, there are a high percentage of those Libertarian Party members who fall into these these categories that I'm talking about, who are ideologically captured. There are the ones who are party loyalists, the ones who are woke libertarians, who just disproportionately tend to be really bad people. And I don't exactly have that all worked out in my head, but I guess there's something to the fact that, it's like, how like a lot of born again Christians did some real messed up shit in their life. And then it's almost like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you're born again Christian, but this is almost like a little bit of a way to cover, because now you could say, I found Jesus and now I'm a really good guy. That old guy, that's not me, man. That was me before Jesus, but now I'm a really good guy. And you're like, oh, that's convenient. That's convenient that you get to give yourself that out. I just notice a lot of the same things. A lot of the same things with my experiences with some of these like types have just been like, wow, you are like really horrible people. And I mean, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. When I mean, like, the people who, if for those of you guys who know this stuff, and if you guys just listen to the podcast and don't know, I know this a little bit inside baseball. We'll be right back to outside baseball on the next show. But when the Mises Caucus first started and we were running Josh Smith to be the chair of the party, I mean, people like went after his family in the most vicious way to try to smear him for a campaign over who's the chair of the Libertarian National Committee. It's not even like a position that has any power. I mean, for the first time ever, Angela actually seems to have turned it into that to some degree. But it's just, there was a lot of stuff like that, really vicious stuff, where people were really trying to like ruin other people's lives. And then at the same time, those people would like complain about mean tweets. To this day, I still see him complaining about Chase being on the receiving end of mean tweets or something like that. And it's just, I saw Chase on Twitter trying to throw Angela under the bus and blame her. It was like a couple days after the election. And I just like looked at that and I was like, I'm sorry, like that is a demonstration of somebody's character. Like you're not a good man. Good men don't do that. You don't come out and throw everybody else under the bus after you fail. You take responsibility for it, especially in Chase's situation. Like Chase, just for people who don't know, after we took over the Libertarian Party, Chase was kind of like the resistance then, or one of the people who was in the resistance then. And he called the National Party a bunch of bigots and said he doesn't want them to promote him at all because he doesn't want to be associated with bigots. And now he's sitting here complaining that they didn't support him enough. I'm sorry. Like, you can't do both of those. If you call someone a bunch of racists and say, I don't want to associate with you, you can't turn around and complain that they didn't help you. Sorry, dude, that's on you. It's your job as the candidate to be so great that you inspire support from people. And if you don't, that is your fault. And you definitely don't publicly go blaming other people for your own failures. And this just, that shows a lack of character, a lack of integrity. While these people like to, condemn all the bad people constantly, it's like the worst thing about wokeism in general. Not just woke libertarians, but wokeism. It's like you're constantly looking for like the bigot, the bad guy, the sexist, the racist, the transphobe. And isn't that convenient? You get to put yourself in the position of being the moral judge of everybody. And the question never even gets asked like, well, what do you do? What makes you such a great person? Why do you get to judge everybody as awful while you contribute nothing? And whatever, it's equally poisonous within the libertarian world. But again, however you feel about it, there's just no market for this stuff. There is no woke libertarian out there who could have done a better job than Chase. That's what any woke libertarian would do. Nothing. Completely irrelevant. And if he did, even attempt to, okay, so one of the things that this was talked about a little bit during this presidential race, and even I saw there are some Libertarian Party members who were liked Chase, but were very upset with him for not coming on this show because I invited him on, and he didn't come on. And I did think there were some kind of interesting parallels to Kamala Harris not going on Joe Rogan's show. I think within the libertarian world, this show is somewhat like the Joe Rogan show. Obviously we're a much smaller show than Joe Rogan, but the Libertarian Party is a much smaller party than the Democrats and Republicans. And so anyway, look, I invited Chase on I told him that at the convention after he won. I invited him on. Just felt like the right thing to do, and I congratulated him. It just felt like the right thing to do. And then I made it very public that there was an open invite for him to come on the show. No one from the campaign reached out. He never attempted to do it. I've got the biggest, or one of the biggest shows with, few 100,000 hardcore libertarians, and at least, not all of our audience are hardcore libertarians, but 100% of them are at least interested enough in libertarian ideas that they listen to this show, and he didn't want to come on. And, it's funny because, again, like, there's just all of these different kind of seemingly contradictory things and layers of irony with everything right now. But I saw some of these libertarians and they were like, oh, Chase really should have gone on Dave's show and he should have done outreach and he should have tried to win these people over. I got to say, honestly, I feel about it kind of the same